Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we've got some player props here on Thursday night in the NBA. 6 games to choose from tonight. So we are bringing you some looks from those games. Also have best bets up with some sides and totals looks for you in the other episode. And we're bringing both of those to you each and every day. So make sure to subscribe and continue to follow along with us. Also want you to head to the description of the video. We've got a link in there for the email newsletter on thelines.com. Make sure you stay on top of everything that we've got for you there on the website, as we've got plenty of looks coming now as baseball gets into full swing. And then Nate and I will continue, obviously, into March and in the playoffs with the NBA. And we're giving you that bonus parlay pick with those player props. So make sure you do check that newsletter out every Friday so you don't miss out on that bonus parlay. Had a nice little plus 1.4 units to kick things off last week. Looking to keep it going here. But let's go ahead and jump right into your first player prop here after a pretty good night, 5-1 on the player props. We gave out a couple bonus looks yesterday. So feeling really good about keeping it rolling tonight.
Yeah, saved my night taking SGA points with the under in that game as like a negative correlation, and that paid out well. But tonight, yeah, let's take Zion, 29.5 points and assists. It might be up to 30 at most books here, and I think I'm still fine with that, or just taking the points at 24.5. But he's actually was leading the NBA in potential assists for a minute here out of the All-Star break, which is crazy because he's been playing like 29 minutes a game. But the ball is just always in his hands. The Pelicans are fully embracing the point Zion experience. The last 3, he's had 19 potential assists per game, 8.7 actual. So a lot of room for growth there. Currently 8th in the league post All-Star break overall. Udoka's Rockets are the type of defense to be like, all right, we got to build a wall against this dude. We cannot be the one to give it up down low, like we've seen with Giannis a lot. So led to 27 points and 9 assists the only time Zion has faced Udoka, right? His last 4 against Houston, averaging 26 and 5, getting the line a lot, shooting 63%. I was initially thinking Şengün in this matchup, but I think he might get kind of run off the floor by the Zion train in terms of like they're just going to try to match up with Jabari more. It's possible, but I mean, the Hornets are also playing more Kelly O. And less Messi. And so that has also seemed to raise Zion's usage. That's part of the reason his last 3, he's been even more of a potential assist machine, right? Because Kelly O's a stretch 5. And so now you get the lane open for Zion to just attack. He's actually gone over this number in 5 straight against not the Spurs. He had back-to-back unders against the Spurs. In 7 straight, if you include not the Spurs or the Thunder. And are the Rockets an elite defense like the Thunder here? I mean, 5th worst rim defense in the last 15. Like that is on Şengün again to a degree, allowing 115 a game, post All-Star break, about league average in terms of assists and free throw attempts, whereas they were truly elite in both those categories pre All-Star break. And second most point per game to point guards, but like you can't put Zion in a position bucket at all. But it's just like, yeah, I think Houston's personnel, if they want to use Şengün to take advantage offensively, and he's had big games against the Pels as well in terms of points and assists and potential assists. And I do like his assists on the other end and his offensive impact. But I think with guys like Kelly O and Şengün out there, like there's just not going to be a lot of resistance for Zion if he puts his head down.
Yeah. No, I mean, the assists scare me a little bit, obviously against a really good assist defense, but they've baked that into the number for sure, because this would be at least at 6.5 if this wasn't the Rockets. And it's at 5.5 plus money to the over. So they are baking in that they're reducing the number from what it probably should be for, like you said, one of the potential assist leaders in the league. It's like I said, just don't trust it. What I don't know for sure, I might actually go back and watch a little bit of the film, is like when Zion is driving on a guy like Dylan Brooks, who's most often guarding him, do they help in these situations, right? Which they never do. They never help. Udoka doesn't help. He leaves you on an island so that you don't give up spot up shots. But I don't know. They might actually need to tweak that a bit against Zion. And like you were saying, he's got a pretty good history of doing that against Udoka. And this is the benefit of knowing coaching tendencies and looking back at past matchups. So, and obviously Nate very familiar with Ime from the Celtics days. So let's go with Hallie for my first look here. I got a similar look for one of the other potential assist leaders in the league since the All-Star break, especially in these these last 6 games for Hallie. So you can get 10.5 plus money. If this drops down to 9.5, like minus 130, minus 140, I think I'm okay with drinking the juice there as well. Maybe take like a double, see if that helps you out at all with Halliburton, right? Like 10 points, 9.5 assists, that kind of thing. But in the last game, 9 dimes on 11 potentials versus Atlanta. That was beginning of February. And even then, he still hadn't turned into the guy that I was talking about in the best bets episode as I'm backing Indy here, because he looks like the Halliburton at the beginning of last season, who was averaging 20 plus potential assists per game. And that's where he's at in the last 6, including against some really good defensive teams for limiting assists, like the Clippers, the Rockets, Toronto. Miami not particularly good against assists, but still a Miami defense with Spo. And Atlanta allows the 5th most assists per game to point guards and the 6th most overall. And if you just look at some of the guys getting assists versus the Hawks lately, who you would consider like similar players to Halliburton, you've got Cade Cunningham going for $1 million every time he plays them. You've got Hallie here, obviously, and then a couple other guys as well. Screen just blanked on me and just completely crashed for my stats. But there are about 4 other guards as well who are considered similar players or point guards to what Hallie wants to do, who go ahead and get those assists against them. The key thing here, too, is going to be Dyson Daniels. It's a big reason why point guard assists are better than point guard points against Atlanta. And it's not point guard, it's primary ball handler, which is what Tyrese is, right? Don't necessarily go look back at the point guard against the Hawks and go, well, this point guard didn't do anything. I'm not talking about like Isaiah Collier. I'm talking about guys who are like scorers and the primary ball handler. Isaiah Collier is a facilitator, not the same thing. So when you look at the matchup here, you're going to get Dyson Daniels on Halliburton. That was the matchup in the last game as well. And assists are still available, right? And they're not going to double him either, I don't believe, because of Dyson D. And that's one of the only plus defensive matchups they have on the floor. So they're not going to use another guy to help him out, right? So I do think you're going to see a good amount of one-on-one defense, but that is going to lead to Halliburton getting the ball forced out of his hands into the right spots, especially down low, where I think guys like Obi Toppin are going to be catching him. I think he's going to find Pascal for easy buckets in the dunker spot, which is a really good look, as this Hawks team is 5th worst limiting points down low. So love the Hallie play here as we continue to follow his ascension in assists.
Yeah, I mean, the last 4 he had 9 dimes last time against Atlanta. Last 4 matchups before that, 13, 16, 18, and 13. He had 18 assists in 25 minutes in one of these matchups. And so it's just absurd. But yeah, there should be plenty go around on both ends here. 247 total. Hawks gone over in 4 straight. And I like a guy on the other side, Karis LeVert, actually, 19.5 points and assists. Again, I'm a little wary of Trey in this matchup. I think Nembhard's playing really well. Hawking the primary ball handler. But LeVert has been the sidekick that, I wanted to take him initially back against Orlando in the second matchup there. He got into some foul trouble, got physical out of that matchup a little bit. This is the type of matchup for him to thrive. And I mean, he's been thriving his last 3, 23 points a game and 4 assists on 25.5% usage, which is pretty huge here. I mean, he does have fewer drives than Dyson Daniels, but way more efficient, way more playmaking on those drives, 58% field goal shooting on 9 drives a game, getting 2 assists per game. So not a ton of potential assists, but the quality of his passes means his assist to pass ratio is 16%, behind only Trey on the team, and that's very good overall. I mean, of course, he was quiet a little bit. His last 2 against Indy with Cleveland did have 7 dimes, though, off the bench in one of those. But previous 8 with Cleveland, again, in this kind of like still in this spot roll off the bench, 19 a game, 5.1 assists, 25% usage. Because Indy is kind of, they try to take certain things away, right? They're allowing the fewest threes since the All-Star break and doing a very good job guarding above the break threes is partially the reason I'm like, I don't know if Trey can get his 26 here. But they are allowing the highest or 4th highest mid-range, 50% on mid-range shots and top 10 opponent attempts and the second most paint points. So they let it open up here. We're obviously expecting some points here based on the total. So give me LeVert to pick up some of the slack if Trey sluggles.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see. I love LeVert, especially in games where he's going to the rim in transition. Not great transition defenses here as we're talking about. Pace might not be as much, but yeah, going to the rim for Karis LeVert, that's when I like to take him. And as long as we can bank on the shot attempts for him, which it looks like we now can, right, in the minutes as well, then yeah, I'm with him. I'm so mad at myself for not taking him in that Memphis game, which was another opportunity for lots of transition and lots of going to the rim against a team not protecting the rim, blah, 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 whatever. Live and learn, but now we're not going to miss out on Karis LeVert. 19.5 points is due, like a 20 plus for plus money here for Karis LeVert might be a look as well. Just a little sprinkle on something that's probably close to like 3-1, 4-1. So everybody's favorite backup center. That's my last pick. His name is Day'Ron Sharpe. Day'Ron Sharpe is good at basketball. Let me just put that out there. Anybody talking about trash about Day'Ron Sharpe, you keep that to yourself. 9.5 points in rebounds. It's at 4.5 points. You can probably still get 4.5 boards as books are starting to unveil the Day'Ron Sharpe bets. Obviously, it takes a little longer to get backups numbers and prop lines than the starters. And Nick Claxton will be starting. But Day'Ron Sharpe is averaging 17.5 points a game on the season. And he's playing, if you filter his stuff and you look at a range of like what happens when he plays somewhere from 15 to 20 minutes per game, gives you the average of 17.5. He's looking at a really good numbers here. So I'm just not sure what we're talking about. He's at 14.2 points and rebounds per game when he plays 15 to 20 minutes. He doesn't even need to play more than 20, just a range of 15 to 20 minutes, which is his average. And he's at 14.2 points and rebounds per game. He's played 15 to 20. 25 of the games that he's played this season. He's gone at least 10 PR in 22 of those 25 games. Once again, averaging the same 17.5 minutes that he's averaging on the season. Golden State, we've been attacking them. Took something similar for like a Wendell Carter bet the other night, as rebounds are just not that hard to come by against the Dubs. They've become a better rebounding team. They're up into the top roughly 15, 16 in terms of rebound percentage since Jimmy Butler arrived. So congrats. But they're still bottom 10 limiting points to centers. There's rebounds to centers, and they're still now in the bottom 10 in terms of points and rebounds combined, limiting them. So they're not that bad against the points, but 4.5 for Day'Ron Sharpe, averaging 4.5 attempts per game. I get that the 4.5, and he's not going to hit threes is annoying, but you can also get free throws against this Dubs team, who is not great, limiting free throw attempt rate to their opponent as well. So like there's a good amount to like for Day'Ron. I don't think this is going to be close. We've got a 10.5 point spread. The Nets have shown they're not trying to win. They're not playing their main guys big minutes. And so I think Day'Ron Sharpe is going to be out there for at least 17 minutes in this one. We could see him play as high as like 22, in which case I just think this is a steal. It's just too low of a number, even if you're like, well, who is this guy and why would he get participation? Well, who's anybody on the Nets and why would anybody get participation? That's my response.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You're digging deep here for a guy who was just benched, I guess, formally, now that Claxton is back in the lineup. But I mean, it is a low number. Yeah, you do only need about 19 minutes here. I don't think necessarily that I would rather take the plus 10, honestly, with the Nets. I just think that they're dogs to a degree. I think Jordy is going to have something cooked up here. I don't think the Warriors are going to take them that seriously. So I don't know if I can do the blowout angle, but we did get Celtics injury report finally, and I was looking at a Tatum under, so I think we got to discuss this a little bit because Jaylen Brown out, Zingis out, Holiday still out, Horford out, and Tatum still listed as questionable. Hauser still listed as questionable. So is it another Peyton Pritchard night? Perhaps. I mean, as long as his prop is probably below like 17, I think he can do a little bit of an encore here, and maybe we want to flip the other way instead of an under on Tatum. Be like he's got to do a lot here against the Sixers team that is not bringing much to the table defensively. But yeah, just what's your initial reaction to the Celtics resting all those guys?
I wouldn't go under on Tatum at this point. Not with everybody out. I don't know if I guess you could sit Papa Al because you've got Cornette and Kata.
Al's out too. Yep.
Oh, he's officially out. He's not questionable.
Yep.
Oh, he's out. Okay. Then I guess you can sit Papa Al, like I said, because you have those two guys. I would not be going under on Tatum. I'd be going over for Peyton Pritchard. Just throw these numbers at you that I had from yesterday as I was like waiting, right? Because we had JB, JT both questionable yesterday. So I was like, which one is it? So I created my little sheet here, which is without Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, JB, and KP. If you take them all off the floor here and you're looking at Pritchard, he's at 28 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists per 36. If you add Jason Tatum to that and leave everybody else off the floor, he's at 17 points, 4 boards, 4 assists per 36 minutes. So that's 25 PRA per 36. There's no way he's playing less than 32 tonight for sure. He's probably closer to 36. He's going to be doing everything. I'd take it all. I'd probably take 20 plus. I agree. It's another nice night for our boy Peyton P out there. And then, the Celtics just wiped the floor with them with their backups, right?
I mean, potentially. I
Okay.
think, maybe this makes me feel a little safer about the Quentin Grimes over that I was considering. Is like, I don't know if they get blown out, the Sixers, and if he just doesn't get the run. But with all these guys missing, with no Jaylen Brown, I think Quentin Grimes at 17 points or wherever he's at, as basically the number one option now for the Sixers, is worth an over on that direction.
Yeah. Yep. Followed up his 44-point blow up with what, like 30 or 28 the other. Like, yeah, he's got the ball in his hands. Kelly Oubre on the points too. I think you keep fading Paul George, by the way. They keep giving him like 19.5-point props because Maxi's out, and it's like, dog, I don't care who's on the floor with Paul George. He ain't scoring no 20 anymore. So yeah, I think there's some good looks now that we actually have an injury report. Wish we would have gotten this earlier, but there's going to be some bets in that game for me as well. So I agree with the angle that you're looking at here too. So all right, let's close things out here. We've got that's all we've got, the time we've got, I should say, in player props. Definitely a little bonus there on the Celtics. So make sure you're checking out the end of this one, hopefully. But we are going to be back here on Friday, close out the week, and we will have that email newsletter. So make sure that you sign up in the description of the video. We've got the link there for you. And until we see you tomorrow, happy betting.